Hi everyone, this is Amy Wiedner and you are listening to the Becoming Bold podcast. The Becoming Bold podcast is all about bringing inspiring people together who have made some bold moves in their lives, in their careers, and understanding their journey to that point. So today I'm sharing with you an episode that I recorded a little while back with the amazing Alex Hipwell. Alex is a really good friend of mine. She is the founder of Lifting Women. She is a Nike master trainer. So I'm really excited about this episode and I hope you enjoy. Girl, you're here. We had a lovely weekend in Bristol where we trained, which was a lot because I'm so unfit at the moment and I was like a walrus chasing you around the gym.
We did it all though, like we showed up.
I know, we did and I felt great. And then we had some really nice coffee and cake and all the lovely things. So we've had a lovely weekend and we said before Alex goes back to Berlin, we really wanted to record a podcast. Alex is amazing. I'm going to give a super quick intro. We have been friends for 6 years now. I went on your retreat when I was turning 30. Which was quite a milestone in my life. I saw Alex speak at Jocelyn Thompson Rules Fitness Summit in London. And I was just like, this woman, I need you in my life. And I went on your retreat and my whole life changed. And then within 3 months, I was living in Berlin with you.
But that's what I find so magic about a lot of, I think we might talk about the retreats anyway.
Yeah.
But exactly that part of your story where I host a space or create a space where women feel safe enough to dream and to actually see themselves in that dream and not just as like I see where I want to go, I just don't really know how to get there. It's almost like the retreat creates the first initial action steps for you to take to create that or make that dream a reality. And you're not the only one who does it. That's why I bring it up. But to see where you are now here with your own podcast, doing exactly what you said you wanted to do, but how you got there is your story and the timing is also yours. And I think that the inspiration behind that for many women is there is no rush.
Yeah.
You have to do the hard work, which is what you've done and continue to do. It's not going to be handed to you on a silver platter. No one's going to come and find you. It's not going to have this magical, oh my God, there it is. You have to go and get it.
Yeah.
But you also need to put yourself in the same room as the people or the women who were doing what you want to do. And that's what you did. So,
well, this is it. And I had been living in London for 7 years and I just felt like this is not it. You know, I was getting the tube every day to work, looking around me, everyone's exhausted. No one makes eye contact. God forbid that you look at someone and smile. And obviously I'm Irish. So we just do stuff like that, like naturally. And I remember just feeling so deep in my soul, this is not it. This is not the life that I want, to be absolutely exhausted, grinding 5 days a week in the office in London, being assaulted by people, trying to get the tube, pushing you out of the way. That's not it. So for me at the time when I decided I wanted to move to Berlin and I just felt so inspired by you and this group of women that I had met, I was like, I don't know what's calling me, but something is calling me to Berlin and I needed to be around the right people. I needed white space to learn how to build my website, to learn about what I wanted to do, to try new things, to learn how to create a podcast, all these different things that I felt like I didn't have the capacity or the space to learn those things when I lived in London because my life was so hectic. But I want to just take it back. Tell us a little bit about your younger years and where are you now?
So I'm originally from Australia, born and bred, and I was always very, very active as a child, but also very fortunate. My parents gave me the opportunity to try many different types of sports growing up, so that around my teenage years, I was then, had to sit down and say, which way do you want to go and what do you enjoy doing? And of course, I chose dance, it was like the worst sport that I did. It was like I forgot everything on stage. I never remembered anything. I was the worst in the class. Everything else, I was like elite. I was being asked to join Australian team squads, direction or goal being the Olympics, getting scholarships in other areas of sport. And I chose dance, which when I look back, I laugh at, but it just fits so perfectly to who I am today. What I coach, how I am as a mum, and that is do what sets your soul on fire and you will be on the right path. And I tell you what, being on that stage dancing was magical. It was an expression that no one but a dancer will know. And I was so passionate about this that I worked extremely hard to become a very, very successful dancer internationally and a super successful choreographer. I had some beautiful opportunities that took me across the entire world, and I met some people that have left footprints on my heart. and guided me to who I am today. So I chose dance, went and studied that, and then moved overseas at the age of 21 to Germany, of all places. And from there, I traveled the world with artists, backup dancing, video clips, TV shows, fashion shows, just lived a gypsy life with the greatest memories behind me.
Yeah.
I closed that chapter quite beautifully, actually, choreographing at the Friedrichstadtpalast. I also got to work beside Terry Mugler before he passed. So that was kind of like a beautiful kind of final curtain, I think. Yeah. I had studied fitness and nutrition on the side just because I was very curious about the body. I was curious about why I was always injured as a dancer. And I was just always willing to learn. You know, I wanted to know more in general.
Yeah.
And even though I was probably the most unhealthy athlete, I fell quite organically into this industry or this area of career, I guess. And I just was so passionate about it. And I was like, wow, there's something here, because I almost feel the same towards this fitness and nutrition world as I do to dance.
Yeah.
So I had quite an organic transition into the fitness world after I had my son Jack in 2010. I didn't know how to train pregnant. No one really knew how to train me. Everyone was kind of scared. And it was almost like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. Why? Just because. Yeah. And I just didn't really feel good about that. So I had Jack and then studied while he slept fitness and nutrition for pre and postnatal, and really enjoyed that, actually, and worked out that I'm going to be the strongest version of myself now that I've had a baby.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. So I finally said goodbye to the dance and choreography world.
Yeah.
Went all in on fitness and started my own online coaching business back then, which was not even cool. We were sending out PDF files, I think.
Oh.
And I had around 30 people under my belt, which no one ever really knew about, mostly men.
Yeah.
Because I was transforming my body.
Yeah.
And Instagram had just started, showing my age now. And I was like leaning out and putting muscle on quite fast. And men were quite like, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
So I had around, I think, 2 women and the rest were men.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy to see where I am today. And one of my goals was to, I really admired these women on these fitness magazines.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if I can do that. Can I design my body and look like that? So I set out, and that was a goal. I want to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So no one believed me. No one wanted to work with me. I was pretty much like had an eating disorder. I was very thin, had no muscle on my body.
Yeah.
And there was one coach that said, okay, I'll work with you just because your drive and your hunger for this is there. But it's gonna take a lot. You're gonna have to start eating. You're gonna have to start lifting weights. And I was like, I'm ready. I can do this. You just got to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that was just moving into another controlling world.
Yeah.
Another controlling world that was all focused on men. The research on how you train, eat, recover, everything, again, just around the male athlete.
Yeah.
But I fell into that world, became very successful very fast. I only placed in every competition I ever did, first and second.
Really? I didn't know that.
From the World Championships, German champion, Arnold Classic champion. So I had a great career.
Yeah.
But I also was going through a private separation as well with the father of my son, which was very difficult, but also played a role with who I am today. So I will talk about it because it's, at the time, building and becoming a bodybuilder. What I thought was designing my body was actually searching for strength.
Yeah.
In a relationship that I should not have been in, but I stayed, and I used sport to kind of show that I was strong and that I can do it from the outside. But the inside, I was absolutely broken and shattered and a piece of myself. I had suffered extremely bad from postnatal depression. So coming out of that into then the bodybuilding world, very controlling with nutrition, very focused on aesthetic appeal. Yeah. But a getaway. It was a space where I felt a part of something, and I felt that I had control over my strength. It wasn't until we decided to separate that I realized I don't even want to compete anymore, because I had found my strength that I was searching for through lifting weights and building muscle. I was actually searching for inner strength and self-worth. And when I found that and expressed that and communicated it and took the action step to leave, was when I was like, oh. And I didn't compete the entire season. I didn't need to, because I was strong enough. Yeah. And that was something that I really that plays quite a big role in my coaching today. Yeah. Why do you want to lift weights? Yeah. Sure, there's the health benefit, but why do you want to lose weight? Yeah. Why do you want to come to me and change? Yeah. And I get women to really understand that there's an underlying value that is a lot stronger than your first initial thought, which is weight loss or muscle or whatever it is. Yeah. And when you know what that is, it's very, very powerful, because that's what's going to keep you going when motivation dies, when all of those things die, because that is your core value, and you will show up for her more than anything else.
Yeah.
And that's coming from my own experience. I just stopped. I just said, I'm not doing the next competition. I didn't need to. I went to Mexico with 6 other global master trainers from Nike, and we did a photo shoot and deep dive, and I was surrounded by the most powerful women. And these women are the reason why I made the decision, set up a boundary, and spoke my truth.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget them. One of my dreams was to always have my own clothing line for a sport, like this kind of like to and from the gym. Yeah. And I already have it. Each piece of clothing is named from one of those women.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But isn't it incredible that, obviously we had just spoken about me being in that space, when you are in a space and when you are around other people that prop you up and that inspire you, it's like the seeds are planted, and then how do you water those seeds? It's like being around a community of amazing women or people. It doesn't matter their background, whatever. It's like the people that really kind of have an expansive mind that you can then, it's like osmosis, it rubs off in you.
Yeah, and it was a big learning for me, because hence why I do what I do today with the retreats, the coming together of women, whether it be through workshops or so forth. That's where your power is, because that's where it was always there. Yeah. It's sometimes you just need to tap back into it. And when you haven't been honoring your own boundaries or didn't have boundaries to honor, then it can kind of get a bit lost when you're around other women that have boundaries and that are honoring them and showing you that, you know, you can do this too. Yeah. So that's why I create these spaces, because you just need to be around these other women. You need to be there to believe in yourself. If she can do it, so can I. It's not that you want to do what she's doing. It's not that you want to do the podcast, or it's not that you want to open that particular business or launch that business. But you see that she did it. Yeah. If she can do it, so can you. Yeah. You know, so I think if you're open for that and you're ready for it, and I was searching for something at the time, and I just needed to get out of the environment that I was in, be around these women, come back. And I think out of anything, if you feel overwhelmed, it's just because you need to make a decision. And that feeling of being overwhelmed, I was like, I need to make a decision. And I made the decision. I sat down, I had the hard conversation, and here I am today. And, you know, the relationship I have with my son's father is the best it's ever been, and we're both in good places, and our son is fantastic, and that's what matters. Yeah, and it's sometimes that you have to make a very difficult move that in the longer term is just so beneficial for you and your son, for everyone involved. But it's having those really difficult conversations early on that then make the conversations down the line a lot easier to have. It's better to have that and make that hard decision now than let it keep going, and then life has just passed you by, and it's like this is the prime of our life. This is the years where we can make good money and we can put the energy into our business or whatever that looks like. No, when you said before, like, is this really what I'm doing? You know, I've said this before as well. I've sat in a job and I've said to myself, is this it? Is this it? So I think for anyone listening, if you're in that situation, you know, there are people who love 9 to 5 or who love being in a contract or a company, but there are the others out there that sit there and whatever you're thinking and not saying is your truth. Yeah. You know, whether it be in a relationship, whatever you're thinking in your relationships, but not saying, that's your truth. Whatever you're thinking at your job or at your desk and not saying, that's your truth. And I remember sitting in a couple of spaces, in a couple of situations, I said to myself, is this it? That's why I continue to recreate myself. You know, I've gone from dancer to choreographer, having an event company, an online coaching, to then creating boutique gyms, being a coach, to now where I am today, you know, with my online coaching business, which is definitely where my soul is. Yeah. But I know that there's more out there. Yeah. I know that I continue to grow as a woman. I continue to grow as an entrepreneur. Yeah. And there are times even, you know, 6 months ago where I was like, is this it? And I think that feeling for me now is, yes, this is it because you love this, but you're searching for growth again. Yeah. You know, so when I decided, COVID hit actually after you and I met. We got the lockdown and trying to work out what we're going to do, and taking my business online to an online coaching platform, which now is, the industry is flooded, with fitness coaches. So what sets me apart from others? And I think that's always, someone else has always done it, don't let that stop you. And I try also to do the same. It's like, how many podcasts? I've always wanted to have my own show, and I'm going to freaking do it.
You are going to
because it doesn't matter how many podcasts, your podcast isn't there, and what you said the other day is such a growing space.
Yes.
And if that's what you want to do, then do it. But don't let the start stop you. And I tend to do that sometimes. It's not perfect enough, or I haven't done the website, or I need the logo or the colors. Just start.
Just start. And it's actually, I have noticed myself, and I know that I feel this way. If I see someone just going out and doing it, obviously you have to have some type of a standard, but fair play to you. And I feel really inspired by that person, because I'm like, oh my God, it's not perfect, and you're just doing it. And that's amazing. There's a few things that I want to just hone in on there. 2 really key points. I speak to loads of people at the moment that are maybe clients or potential clients for me helping them build their brand on LinkedIn. And a big blocker for people is that they think, oh, well, I don't want to be creating content on LinkedIn or talking about X, Y, and Z because everyone else is doing it. And I'm like, no, but you are not everyone else. And there's people out there that really like you, and they really value your opinion, and they think you're really smart, and they want to hear it from you, whether it's talking about something that you're doing within your job, whether it's reacting to something that's trending, what's your take on it. If you can come in with like a different perspective, something that's authentic to you, but that's just a little bit different to what everyone else is saying, people love that. The amount of, especially women, it just leads to inaction. They just sit there and they're like, I don't want to do this because everyone's doing this. And there isn't enough representation, especially in entrepreneurship. And that's why community is so important. But there's a lot of people, I think, just to go back to your point, what you're saying about, you're in this kind of liminal space, or you're in this space where you feel really stuck and the truth keeps coming up. It's this feeling inside you. It was the feeling inside for me. And that's why I moved to Berlin back then. I went on your retreat. I was like, I feel really inspired. I've met these amazing women. There's a world out there for me that I just have to explore. So many people were asking me like, why Berlin though? And I was like, I actually can't explain it. I'm just being drawn there. And I know I have some amazing friends there. They're the type of people I want to be around and need to be around right now, because I believe that there's something out there for me that I can't see what it looks like yet, but I have to go and I have to chase it somehow. And someone that I met in Berlin gave me this advice, and he said, the thing that you're chasing, he's an entrepreneur as well. He said, the thing that you're chasing, it might not exist yet. So you have to think that like you might be trying to blueprint yourself against something, or you might be trying to picture yourself as, oh, an online fitness coach, or, this type of person, that type of person. But like, what I'm doing now, which is essentially coaching people with their LinkedIn content, that didn't exist back then, like back in 2020, as far as in my spaces, it didn't exist. So, keep like a really open mind as to what that might look like. But I think as long as we keep taking action and we just make decisions, and like you had to make that really tough decision about, leaving your partner at the time, that was probably absolutely that was probably a really, really difficult decision. But there's no wrong or right in a sense as well. It's like I make a decision and there's just an outcome of that decision, because we're always worried about the wrong decision. It's like you just make the one that feels right inside you, and then you just go with it and deal with the consequences, because there'll be consequences to both. So
but it's worse when you don't, because that's when you are swamped with overwhelm. You can't do anything then. But when you make the decision, you move in a direction. And this is really, really important. So anytime anyone feels really overwhelmed, it's because you're not moving, and you're either comparing yourself left and right to others, right? So get clear on what you want. That's why I do a lot of the free writing for anyone who works with me or who's come to any of my events. I get you to sit down. This is something I do every single morning, is to sit down and you have a prompt and just do the basic one. What do I really want?
Yeah.
And you can add, what do I really want with my job? What do I really want with my life? What do I really want in this relationship? Whatever is relevant for you in that moment, or you're feeling that kind of block that you can't answer, you have the answer. You know what it is. So just put it down on paper.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Don't journal. Journaling tends to be quite scripted, because you sit and you think a little bit when you're not your thoughts. You only observe thoughts. But if you brain dump and just flow,
Yeah.
and then go back and read over it.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised. A lot of your core values will pop up in words. So free writing is very powerful if you're struggling to make that decision. So if you are listening to this and you're like, oh my God, she's right, I resonate with that. I feel overwhelmed at times. Remember what we're talking about here and just go, okay, I need to make a decision. What do I need to make a decision on? If you still don't know, write that down. Use that as your prompt.
Yeah.
What do I need? Where in my life do I need to make a decision? And then start writing, and you'll be super surprised at what pops up. Take the step, make the decision.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And also, when I've looked back over the years of free writing, journaling, whatever, it's like a theme in my life that different themes have come up and they're always the same or similar. What I wanted 5 years ago, yes, it evolves. And I get closer to it as well. So I'm like, okay, maybe the goal is getting bigger, whatever that looks like. Our truth is our truth, you know, and it's like the things that we care about, they stay consistent. And then when you look back on like something that you wrote 4 or 5 years ago, and you're like, oh my God, I still want to do that podcast. I still want to have my own show.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I have to just try and put the steps in place to make it happen. I just want to kind of take it back as well to, let's say we're speaking to someone who's in a job and they've worked their way up. So they have the golden handcuffs on. So they're like doing really well. They're getting good salary and their life has they've probably have got this, you know, elevated lifestyle to meet their good salary that they're on. So they're like, oh, if I go out on my own, I'm going to have to give up this salary and my rent's high, my mortgage is high, whatever that looks like. And I can see that with a lot of people I know in London. They're like, living in London is super expensive. They have this lifestyle. And the thought of going out on their own, that's why I moved to Bristol. The thought of going out on their own is like so risky. How would you advise someone if they are in this space where they're like, I want more? And I know you mentioned about free writing as well, but how could they, if they're so disconnected from themselves, what advice would you have for them to just like where do they start in terms of how do they find what sets their heart on fire so they can kind of follow that path?
Yeah, I love it. I will go back to the free writing. You will be surprised.
Yeah.
There is a part of you that already knows because there's interests that you have. Maybe get clear on what you don't want.
Yeah.
If you're really a little bit unsure and you're like, I really don't know what I want. What don't you want?
Yeah.
Get clear on that. I don't want a 9-to-5 job, or I don't want to be living in London anymore, or I don't want to be living in this particular city. What is it that you don't want? Get super crystal clear on that, because at least you won't go towards that. And that's a positive thing. On the other side, if you do have interests that have been popping up, but you haven't really been saying them for one reason, maybe you're scared, maybe you're in an environment or a family that doesn't really accept that type of lifestyle, so you feel pressured to speak your truth out of judgment or rejection, or don't do that because you won't have any money, or whatever it is. But write down a couple of things where they're my hobbies, they're my interests, or just start to observe. Be a little bit more aware of what you do enjoy or what you see and so forth. And then don't lose the job or quit the job that you're doing, but start your side hustle.
Yeah.
You know, and it's exactly what I did with my coaching. I started the side hustle on the side, and my goal, my deadline was when I'm making the same amount of money as I was in this job, I will then remove this job.
Yeah.
Right?
Smart. Yeah.
And you could do, depending on what you're doing, if you have different funnels of income, you know, I always suggest picking one of those.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, once this gets to this point, what are you going to do? What's that step? So have those deadlines, have those kind of points in your calendar ready to go. Don't just kind of wing it. That's where I always come in and say, don't trust the process, show me.
Yes.
Show me what your process is, right? Because you can't trust it. You need to write it down and show it to me. Have that side hustle start, and you will know if you like it. Normally you will. And it's not going to be what you start off doing. I promise you, it's not going to be what you end up doing, because you will continue to create yourself and learn along the way. And what you build in the end is very different to probably how you started, but at least you started it. And you have one life.
I know.
We have one life.
Yeah.
To do what sets our soul on fire and what we're passionate about. And you don't have to do the same thing forever. Get that out of your head. I think God, what have I done from working in a club where I was actually really damn good, you know, to being a dancer who broke their leg, to, you know, traveling overseas, being a choreographer and whatever, having zero money, can't pay my rent, and moving into, you know, online coaching, being sponsored by Nike and like all of these, you know, big brands and wonderful opportunities, to living in Berlin, which I would never have guessed, with the most incredible child and a fantastic business online, when connection is actually one of my biggest values.
Yeah.
But still, I have those side hustles, the same as maybe somebody listening, that I also am interested in and will start to build up as well.
Yeah. Because I know you've obviously been through a lot of different hardships throughout that. And, you know, someone might meet you now, and I know, like at the event on Thursday, I had so many people come up to me and say how amazing you were. And they look at you and they're so inspired by you. But I know better than anyone that it was not easy. Like there was so many challenging moments. When you eventually made the decision to quit your job and go out on your own, just talk me through that process. What were you scared of? What made you do it in the end?
Good question. It's true though. I love when you say that. You know, you see all these great things of people online or someone that you're following that really inspires you. And I don't show a lot of my private life. You see Jack, which is my private life, really. But I also date men. I have bad breakups. I make stupid decisions. I have extreme heartbreak. I'm very emotional. You know, I think we need to talk more about that and connect with each other more as women, that keep going, keep learning. You know, I'm only just starting my own healing journey at the age of, 44. And I think that's inspiring for people, and it's inspiring for me, and it's exciting. And I think to go through what I've gone through, to make decisions as, a foreigner in a country that will never really be mine, regardless that I've lived here longer than I've lived in Australia, in Germany, I will still always be a foreigner. But to just continue to keep living and trying and building. And the security of the job was, I was 20 hours a week at the time. The other funnel of income was coaching. So I had freelance jobs, working still with Nike, having a couple of personal training clients here and there. But the security and the base was working for a company, which was fantastic, and building their boutique gyms, designing them, creating the methods, training the trainers. It was just gorgeous. And at the same time, building my online coaching platform.
Yeah.
And I decided at one point, the goal was, when I'm making the same amount of money with the online coaching platform as I am in the 20 hours a week, I will then remove myself from the 20 hours a week, continue doing the freelance coaching sessions, like in the classes and so forth. And so that was what I did. I really stuck to my word, and it was very scary.
Yeah.
Even though I've pretty much freelanced my entire life.
Yeah.
Having this secure job at my age, I was like, okay, this is good. I've got a son and I need security, because that's what everyone tells you. You need to have your how are you going to pay for your health insurance? How are you going to do this? And what are you going to do when you're older? So you kind of have these pressures put on you. But I wasn't happy.
I know, yeah.
Even though I loved that job, don't get me wrong, I absolutely thrived in that job. I was not building my own empire. I was building someone else's, and that can only go so far.
This is it.
There's a limit to it. And you just build that person, you watch it build, and you build other people's communities. And, without with tipping my hat, I'm really good at building communities.
Yeah, you are.
I can't tell you the recipe for it, but I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
And it's something that I love.
Well, I can tell you what you're good. I can tell you why you're good at it. I think you, and I'm still learning how to do this myself, I think you have a good balance of, you can be personal with people, and you take people on the journey, and you don't, even though, yes, you're doing really well and it looks great to people and people are inspired by you, but you're also very honest about, and if anyone's been to your talks, they'll know this, you're very honest about how hard it was for you and the challenges that you faced. And that shows people that we've all been through the shit show. We've all been through the ringer. Nothing comes easy. And it's almost like the harder, the more things you go through, the more you can kind of, especially as a coach, connect to your community and your people. And you share a lot of yourself to your community, and you entertain, you keep it real, but you also toe the line of, there's a lot of drill sergeants, let's say, as personal trainers, which I just get the absolute ick. I'm like, absolutely no, I just cannot. But there's also then the other movement, which is very, rest, and rest is obviously really important, but there's it's very hard. So for someone let's take someone like me, okay, who only really went to the gym in my early 20s. I was really intimidated by everything. I did not see myself as someone in the gym. I associated going to the gym as thin six-pack and matching gym gear, velour, bright pink gym gear. I was like, sure, that's not me at all. And I think that you have a good balance of just being really relatable, even though you're doing really well and you're very fit in the gym and very active and strong. And like, you're obviously like an athlete who maybe I will never get to your level of fitness, but I just feel like it's a kind of like a big sister energy, I feel, which I think as a coach is a really positive thing. It's like, I'm going to be direct with you about what you need. You might not like to hear it, but I'm going to be kind in the way I deliver it. But you kind of have a way of communicating that in a really nice way.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely, yeah, you're right, because I have received from both sides a response in the way of when I achieve something in my life, other women are inspired to go and achieve what they want to achieve because they saw me do what I want to do.
Yeah.
I think this is really beautiful to hear. It's not that they want to be a bodybuilder, for example, but because I went through that and I showed them the reality of it and then how I achieved the goal, but really showed the journey.
Yes.
It gave them this kind of like inspirational, or I empowered them to say, okay, all right, so there is a journey involved for me to run my first half marathon or for me to do my first high rocks or first competition, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And God, Alex can do it, so can I. So even though I think I am more of like, to some maybe an inspiration or to some maybe like untouchable, to more, I'm very relatable.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, and I think maybe that does build community or build connection.
Yeah.
And I hope that that's something that I can continue to portray, especially through social media and so forth, that it's really like, I'm a mum, I'm a woman, I'm a friend, but I'm also an athlete with big dreams and discipline. And you can do all the things.
Yeah.
You can do them if you want them. What do you prioritize and what matters to you?
Yeah, it is.
But what you said before with the six pack and the pink, I think this is really great when you say, I couldn't see myself in the gym and so forth. You don't want to be me. You don't want to be an athlete, right?
Yeah.
That's not who you want to be. So again, being in that space, getting crystal clear on who you want to be, that future self version of you. Who is she? Yeah. And if you find yourself comparing what you were saying before about not really seeing yourself in the gym, where you had your matching pink outfit on or your six pack or whatever, and saying, I'll never really be the athlete that you are. You don't want to be me. You don't want to be the athlete that I want to be. And if you catch yourself doing that, I want you to stop for a second and go, who do I want to be? I think we get lost with comparison a lot, which is like the thief of all of joy.
Yes.
So get crystal clear on who you want to be.
Yeah.
Become friends with that future self. Who is she?
Yeah.
You and I have spoken about this a lot. Like, who is she? Whether it be in 6 months, 12 months, 5 years.
Yeah.
What is she wearing? How much money is she making a week? How much rent are you paying? What does your apartment look like? Like, open your mind. Talk more about what you really want.
Yeah.
Because when you're crystal clear on her, what she looks like, and you're friends with that, all the decisions that you make today are going to align with her. And you're not going to say things like, I don't see myself in the gym. Yeah, my future self goes to the gym. So I see myself in the gym without question. You might not hone in on what she's wearing or the six pack or the gym chick that you see online, but you do know that your future self goes to the gym because she's active. It's part of her entrepreneur kind of lifestyle. Yeah. And you don't have that kind of fake persona or that comparison persona anymore. And I still hear a lot of women say it. Oh, but I'm not really like that, or I don't lift heavy weights. Does your future self, is she healthy? Has she got strong bones? Yeah. Does she show up? Is she a role model for her children? Yes. So go to the gym.
What are some of the common problems that you hear from people, or the blockers? When someone comes to you, they want some coaching, they're kind of lost. Like, what are some of the things?
So a lot of the first things that come in are very surface. I need to lose weight. Okay. I want to get stronger. I know it's important for me to go to the gym. I just don't know what to do there. My kids are teenagers now. Who am I? This is a big one. Yeah. Right? This is women now giving their entire lives to their children, which I am not faulting, but the end result is always the same. Who am I? Because at one point your children step away and become very independent very fast, and you're standing there left alone going, I have no life. I can't look at myself in the mirror. I don't even know what my style is anymore. I don't even know what to do when it comes to having sex. Yeah. How do I have a date with my husband or my partner? So that's a lot that comes to me. And then, like, how do we navigate that? And all of them, regardless what their points are, it's about coming back down and going, why? Yeah. Why do you want to lose weight? Because, I just want to fit in those clothes again that made me feel good. Why? Why do you want to fit in those clothes again that made you feel good? Yeah, because when I wore them, I did more. I went out more. Why? Why did you go out more if you had those particular clothes on? Because I felt really confident and boom.
Yeah, confidence.
You don't want to lose weight. Yeah. I mean, you do, but as a byproduct.
Yeah.
So you want to start showing up for yourself. You want to start honoring your body and have a bit more understanding about what's on your plate and what you're choosing to fuel yourself with, because you want to feel confident as a woman again. In the, having sex, you want to feel confident, going out in clothes that you make you feel good.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like to you, that byproduct is how you're going to, connect to confidence. So rather than getting women to focus on the weight loss part of it, which is important, I'm not ruling that out, and we're going to get there.
Yeah.
But you'll only stay on that or build those new habits consistently if you know what really matters and why you really want to do something, and connect it to a core value that is yours. Because when life comes back in and things get busy, if you're only there to lose weight, you're most likely going to fall off the wagon. But if you're there to feel confident again in the bedroom, if you're there to feel confident to wear clothes and go out again or to go on dates again, then you're going to show up when you don't feel like it.
Yeah. Talk to me about that, because I feel like motivation, in my opinion, is not really a thing that we should be, we spoke about this the other day. This is a really important thing that I think we need to talk about. You said you don't post anything that is talking about motivation because you don't want to draw people that think that motivation is their answer, because it's not really a thing, is it? It's like
anyone who's searching for motivation are not doing anything. They're not
quick fix.
Well, they're just not people who are ready to work with me.
Yeah.
I'm not here to motivate you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to motivate you, because motivation is an emotion.
Yeah.
It comes and it goes. If you call me and you book in, you're motivated. What motivated you to call me? What motivated you to step off the fence and go, I'm finally going to get out of my own way and ask for help, because I can't do this on my own anymore, and what I'm doing now is no longer working.
Yeah.
That's motivation in the moment to finally get out of your own way, get off your ass, and actually make change happen.
Yeah.
Right? But motivation, again, is an emotion. And there are going to be many more days where you are not motivated than you actually are. When you are motivated, we're going to roll with that. We're going to use it, right? Maybe you've got something coming up and you're like, I'm so motivated to, is it a summer holiday? Is it going to see friends? Is it going on a date? Whatever it is that motivates you for a particular, that's what goals do. Goals motivate you to keep moving. But I think it's important to understand, and that's why I get you to break down. So you're motivated to call me, you want to lose weight. Why? We get to find out, okay, what is the underlying core value behind why you actually want to lose weight? And that is confidence, right? Let's use confidence connected to this weight loss. So therefore, on the days where you're not motivated, because you're not, it's cold outside, it's wet, and you've just got home from work, you're absolutely smashed, you probably didn't fuel properly that day.
Yeah.
Right? You don't feel very energized, but I need to lace up and go to the gym.
Yeah.
Or go and do what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
Now, if you rely on motivation there, it's not going to happen, because I don't want to go outside.
Yeah.
But if you're like, oh my God, okay, but I've got this holiday coming up, or I've got this thing coming up.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. And I also feel like that if you don't, I know that if I'm gymming, if I don't have a plan in place and an accountability partner, and we have obviously had endless conversations about this, but if I don't have someone who I'm being accountable to, or I don't have a program that I'm using to train, I'm just like, it's like pissing into the wind. It's great, and I love going to the gym and just moving my body, and it helps wake up my brain, especially if I go in the morning, and I have a much more productive day work-wise if I go in the morning. But actually, if I want to really take my health and my fitness and my training seriously, if I just say I'm going to go to the gym, oh my God, the hours will pass, and if I don't have an idea in my head of what I'm going to do in the gym, it's like there's nothing to kind of attach me to the reason as to why I'm going. It's not making it stick. So I'm just like, oh yeah, I don't have this clear idea of what I'm doing anyway in my mind, so I'm just not going to go. Sure, it's fine, I'll just go for fine if I just want to go for a walk, at least I'm going to move my body. But when I have a plan in place and I'm like, okay, last week I deadlifted 80 kg, this week now I really want to push it up a little bit, and I have this idea, but me and you spoke about that, making goals are really hard.
They are hard
for certain people.
But I think to have a plan in place, why don't we focus and why don't we prioritize our health the way we do our job, which half the people don't even enjoy. Yet you have this gorgeous structure in the week with these colorful, calendar, whatever in your calendar that says, you've got a creation day, or you've got a brainstorming meeting, or you've got a project to hand in, or you've got to do a presentation from 10 to whatever, or you've got a meeting from this time to this time. Yet when it comes to your fitness and your health, you just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go to the gym and do whatever, or I'm just going to cook whatever, when at the moment that's might be okay. You're not going to see any progress. You're not going to really see any changes. It's not really aligning with maybe who you want to be, because you don't really know who you want to be in your health and fitness side.
Yeah.
You're very clear on where you want to go with your job and how much money you want to make and the promotion you want to have.
Yeah.
But you're not prioritizing your health enough. And I think the sad part about this is, at the moment, most people can still move because they can and not because they have to.
Yeah.
Yet the moment you get sick, the moment a doctor steps in, or you've got heart disease or diabetes or whatever it is, or you're under eating and you've got bone deficiency or whatever that is, and a doctor says, you need to do this, otherwise the outcome is going to be this.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you want to have a plan. And all of a sudden, you want to prioritize your health and your fitness. Why not move because you can before you have to move, right?
Yeah.
So make it a priority. Your health and your fitness should be, I want to be hiking with my grandkids when I am 80.
Yes.
And I swear to God, I will be on social media and I will be taking stories of me fit as a fiddle, swimming and running and all of those wonderful things with my grandkids or with my girlfriends.
Yeah.
Because that matters to me.
Yeah.
But to get to that point, I need to be doing and prioritizing my health and my fitness and showing up for myself first.
Now.
Yeah.
I feel like people don't understand that at all. And yes, we have busy jobs, especially like I have a lot of people in my life who maybe have small kids and busy jobs, or maybe they're the main carer of the children or whatever that looks like. And they end up just not working out or not doing any sort of exercise because they're like, oh, well, I just don't have time. And I'm like, well, this is the one body that you have. And you're so right. And you said this as well the other night at the event is, you go to the doctor to fix the problem. But how about prevention? How about thinking about, okay, how can I mitigate the risk of the problems coming? How can I eat in the right way? And I think a lot of women get freaked out at the prospect of putting on loads of muscle. And this is like this myth that I'm sure you're so sick of trying to combat. Perimenopause, talk to me about the importance of muscle mass for women, and please debunk all of the myths, because I had them too. Oh, I don't want to lift too heavy because I'll just get like really big, strong shoulders, and I don't want that. Let's talk about that.
Again, get clear on what you do want.
Yeah.
You are not going to build a lot of muscle fast, because I've been doing it and a lot of women have been trying to do it for years. You don't eat enough food. If you are someone who says, I build muscle really fast, yeah, that's a myth. You just need to shake that off because it's bullshit. If you don't want a lot of muscle, it's not the only reason we go to the gym, right? You lift weight that is relatively heavy for you. Okay, so don't compare that to what I lift or to whatever someone else is lifting. But you should lift. Resistance training should be the bread and butter of every single woman's fitness journey.
Yeah.
Today, your Pilates is great. I know that it's like taking over the world at the moment, and reformer Pilates is all of a sudden super sexy. It's literally all we did as dancers back in the day. So it is so old school. And now it is like the most gorgeous like boutique gym, and I love seeing this because it is so good, but it is soul food. Yeah. It is not your bread and butter. Like, no way is it your bread and butter. Yeah. Go and do it, socialize and do it, build that core strength. Fantastic. But make sure that you have on the side at least 3 resistance training. Okay. And that's moving weight. That is not your boutique class. That is not the class where you run a bit and then lift some, the same dumbbell for a squat as an overhead press. Yeah. This is like dedicated 45 minutes in the gym doing some compound movements like squats and deadlifts and presses and unilateral work, Bulgarian split squats, all that kind of wonderful stuff. Yeah. The importance behind resistance training is huge, especially for women. We want to be starting, in our early 30s, but it's never too late to start. I've got women at the age of 50 starting and lifting extremely heavy weights now, feeling amazing. Yeah. When you build muscles, so that the pulling of the muscle on the bone is strengthening the bone. And as our ratio of our hormones, our reproductive hormones, which is your estrogen and your progesterone, that starts to change as we get older. So pretty much over the age of, I think, of like 35, let's say, it really starts to change. And we notice a bigger change in the other parts of our body over the age of 40, which we say is the beginning of perimenopause. And to thrive in that phase of your life, you need to be approaching it differently. You don't approach over 40 as you did over 30. We just never spoke about it very much. And that, I think, is the scary part. Women come into this age or this phase of their life with uncertainty, not a lot of knowledge, not a lot of education, and very, very little support. And we will downplay any symptoms. So I have women coming to me who have had maybe 3 to 5 years of extreme hot flushes, itchy skin, change in bowel movements, weak pelvic floor, extreme brain fog, fatigue, low motivation, dry vagina, bad sex life, no sex life. And they're like, well, it's, my gynecologist just told me that this is perimenopause and it will pass. Now, we need to stop because you should be thriving in this phase of your life. And what I've done is, I've coached over 1,000 women and I use them as my guinea pigs. I know there's not a lot of research out there, but I've got these gorgeous women in front of me that I implement some lifestyle changes. And that's what I want to see more of from doctors. So if you go to the gynecologist and you say, I'm noticing some symptoms like brain fog every now and then, regardless how many times you have it, regardless how small it is a new change in your life that you should not have to live with. I want to hear more. Okay, let's have a look at your ecosystem. How's your sleep going at the moment? Most of the time, it's probably not going to be very good. And there are things that we can do with that, right?
Yeah.
How's your exercise? Are you going to the gym? So going to the gynecologist, I want to see these changes and I hope that I can be a part of this. And that is going in, regardless what symptoms you're noticing and regardless how big or small they are, brain fog, motivation, fatigue, dry vagina, God, I don't care what it is. Go and talk about it with your gynecologist. But what I want to see in return from the gynecologists or the medical world is asking questions like lifestyle, which is, are you going to the gym and incorporating resistance training in your training? Things like sit, which is sprint intervals, and real HIIT, right? Not spin sessions for 45 minutes in gray zones, not zone 2 work for anyone over 40, okay? It's just not going to work the way that it does for anyone under the age of 40. So we really want to change up our whole fitness regime, but it should be a question asked. If you are not incorporating that in your life, I suggest you go and do that. Nutrition-wise, are you on an anti-inflammatory nutrition plan? You should be. Focus on Mediterranean foods. Every single woman. Increase fiber to 30 grams a day. This is going to get rid, because your estrogen ratio is changing. Your estrogen plays a big role in gut health, right? And you have your estrogen receptors in your gut. Now, if estrogen doesn't come to the party, then the receptors are not going to come to the party. So your gut microbiome is all messed up. Okay, so hence why the brain fog comes, the itchy skin and so forth. If you increase your fiber with your fibrous foods across the whole day, increase protein. We've seen that we need to increase protein for women over the age of 40 as well. And have that evenly. So increase your fiber, 30 grams a day, your Mediterranean diet, your change in the gym. So what you did 10 years ago, don't do that. You're going to be doing something new. And if you don't know, ask for help. Come to a coach like myself, or I will signpost you to another coach that I can recommend. But what you were doing 30 years ago doesn't work. And I want to see more questions like this being asked from the gynecologists, and they're not. They're just putting them straight onto medication. A lot of the time it's depression medication or anxiety medication. It's pretty much with anyone over the age of 40. Don't wait until the symptoms get so bad that you are so unhappy.
Yeah. And you're always a big advocate for investing in yourself. And I know a lot of women listening will be like, oh, I just don't have the money to spend on a coach or whatever. And I've said stuff like that to you before, and you're like, invest in yourself. It's the best thing ever. Whether it's a business coach, whether it's a personal trainer, or help with your nutrition. We just have this one body. And it's like, we just allow ourselves to kind of pace and become okay with subliminal health, essentially. And there's so many kind of small things that we could actually do in our day, even if it is just getting up and instead of scrolling, do some free writing or go out and get some air. I always think of you. If I'm like, I don't feel, I'm like premenstrual, like I am so allergic to going to the gym, I feel just so wrecked. But if I can just get out into the air, get the sunlight into whatever the eye thing where you get the sunlight and then it helps you sleep into the REMs, is that what it's called? I'm like, if I can just move my body, get the blood flowing through, I know that's going to be beneficial. So it's just little things like that.
So that's my biggest thing. I think another thing for women, every single woman should be taking creatine. It's, the most researched supplement in the world, but I love that there's so much more conversation about the benefits of creatine for women. You don't need to load anything. So you want to be having the 3 to 5 grams a day. What that does is saturate the brain, the gut, and the muscle. So it just allows the body to say, oh, okay, I've got enough creatine. I can recover. I can build some muscle.
Okay.
Brain function. It's showing more and more the dips of depression and anxiety are so much smaller for women who are on creatine consistently.
Wow.
And I think the fear or the myth behind that is, I don't want to get big and muscly. And that's just the marketing tool behind it.
That's a fear that I have.
Yeah. Well, when you Google it or you look for it and you want to buy a packet of creatine, you see more, these big kind of guys flexing on the front than you would some, gorgeous businesswoman just being like feeling fantastic.
Yeah.
So just understand that you can go and read some published journals that have been published and researched that you can then yourself make your own decision. But I highly, highly recommend making sure you're having enough protein, 30 grams of fiber in your diet, not cutting out any macronutrient. Make sure you got carbs, fats, and protein for women. No crazy crash diets. What you said before about investing in yourself, it's like, don't go and do a 12-week crash diet.
Oh, it kills
Get
me.
into a coaching program or work with someone that you should say to yourself, oh, I could do this for the rest of my life. So that when you do graduate from that course or that coach, you got this. You've learned enough things, you have enough tools under your belt to be able to go, I'm going to thrive in this next phase of my life because this plan was created for me.
Yeah. And it's also, and I used to do this when I first started going to the gym to try and be thin. It's just like
To disappear.
Yeah, it's like you have to just kind of fall in love with the process and fall in love with, because it's maybe you have a motivating thing like a wedding or something that you're working towards, but it should be your everyday, one of your everyday habits. It's like a non-negotiable. This is priority for me. And that's what I do now. I'm like, this is a priority movement in some aspect. If it's, I have to go like 3 times a week at least. Otherwise I'm feeling
I think
mental.
Disappearing for women is still a big thing. You'll find that women will punish themselves with fitness, even though they love it. So have a big night of food the night before, or you've overeaten, or you've had cookies, or whatever it is. You will then go and try and run away from those cookies, or you will then try and disappear.
Earn them.
Burn them off, when that one bad meal is not going to affect your body, just like that one workout is also not going to make any change. It's the small, consistent steps that you make that really move the needle. And, training or sport is just one variable on your list, one part of your ecosystem. Your sleep is so important, and your nutrition is so important, and your recovery is so important. So if you're not seeing any change in your journey and you would like to see some change, have a look at your ecosystem. Go, okay, how is my sleep? Am I really focusing on that hygiene? How is my nutrition? And if you can't, give yourself a little score from 1 to 5 and be honest, really, really truthful with yourself. Am I eating 80% of the day super healthy and clean or not? Yeah, it's a yes or no. There's not a sometimes or a this or a that. It's a yes or it's a no. So tell yourself the truth. Stop lying to yourself. And if you want to see some sort of change and you don't like the way that you are, then do something about it. But you've got to get out of your own way. You don't have to do it on your own, but you really need to get out of your own way. Stop punishing your body through movement.
Oh my God, I know that punishing the body is so real. Let's talk about our favourite thing to talk about now to wrap it up.
Oh, let's do it. Dating over 40?
Dating. Well, I'm not there yet, but dating in general.
Yep.
We love this subject because we are just
we do, don't we?
great.
We're great at it, says 2 single birds at a table.
We're so good at it.
I know.
But I haven't been great at it, but yeah.
Okay, let's go.
So dating over 40 in Berlin. Tell me.
Oh, I'm really not good at it. I'm really...
But is anyone good at it?
I don't think dating was ever easy, right?
Yeah.
I think we've become more distracted. I think with the apps, I tend to say, I'm not meeting anyone. Well, I'm not really going out to meet someone. So I jump, you jump on the apps.
Yeah.
And then I'm very good at catching catfish.
Are you?
I'm such a good fisher. Oh my goodness. Like,
I
I'm
thought
really
you meant
good.
I thought you meant catching them out. You mean actually that they come in, slide in the catfish?
I match with catfish.
They love you, yeah.
Yeah, they love
you do,
me. Yeah, I'm good bait. And then I think the problem is a lot of the dates that I have tend to be very interview based. So you sit and have a coffee and it's almost like you're interviewing this person and judging them. And I think that needs to change, like the whole scenario of that and the quality of the date. It's almost like you don't really want to waste your time, or I catch myself saying that. I don't want to really, not going to go out of my way in case it's really bad. So it's almost like you've set yourself up for failure before you've even gotten there, because what if you do get there and it's really bad? So then it's like, at least I was going to have a coffee anyway. So, I don't waste my time. I would like to change that mindset. And the other side is it definitely holds up a mirror for you to be like, okay, where am I in my healing journey? Because you sabotage, you sabotage good things. Then we've got all this kind of input about anxious and secure and the attachment styles and what am I and blah.
Yeah.
I love connection. Yeah. I would love to be able to meet more people in real life and just connect. I wish there were more events where single parties where, you go out and you have a drink and like there's like maybe there's a dinner or you talk and you move around. I've done one or two and they were absolutely gorgeous. Like I loved them. Yeah. And I wish that there was more of that.
Maybe we should start something.
Oh, I would really be in for it because I think everyone's searching for connection. I think, we put up this persona and it's just bullshit. And it's like, just be true. I think communication is lacking really badly,
Well, I think a lot of people are coming at dating, I feel, and it's like, well, this is my checklist, and you either just tick all the boxes or you don't, and then they don't kind of think about what they're bringing to the table. Yeah. Or, like, for me, the way I try and look at it is, of course you want to be attracted to the person, but I really want to see, I have such amazing friends and I have such great crack with my friends, and I just want to hang out with people who also I could be really good friends with. And like that friendship is the absolute foundation of any relationship. Of course, like, romantic, but friends, whatever that looks like, you have to be able to be best friends with that person. They have to be your partner. It's not all this like, oh, you're super sexy, let's get together. Like, there's no kind of foundation underneath that to actually be able to be partners in life. Life is a shit show.
Yeah, but we were never taught.
Yeah.
It's like sex. Why were we never taught how to have great sex? Why do we have to teach ourselves? And there's so much insecurity in dating, and there's so much insecurity in connection that it limits us from like really experiencing something beautiful.
Yeah, I
know. I heard something the other day, like, are you searching for a relationship or a companion? I was like, what do you mean? And they said, are you ready to really open up and be vulnerable? Because if you are, then that's going to be a relationship. But if you're just looking for someone to, to hang with and be there and enjoy life and have fun, and that's a companion. And I actually really had to look in the mirror and say, what am I looking for? Again, like our job and our career, what do we really want?
Yeah.
What are we looking for and what are we open for to get to know someone? And it has become very, very surface, like appearance-wise. It's like swiping across going...
Well, it's like a catalogue.
Oh, my God.
Where people know how to position themselves in a way that is like attractive, and they're with their watch, or they're taking the gym selfie or whatever, and it's like, that's all fine. This is like a marketing catalog. I'm just scrolling through, swiping through, whatever. But who are you behind all of this? How do I know how you show up in your life? How do I know how you communicate? How do I know how you make decisions? How do I know you're going to listen to me and validate me if I have a problem, and not just be super defensive and jump into gaslighting mode or whatever that looks like? Like, I think we're having a bit of a crisis, and we're more kind of disconnected and isolated than we've ever been before. So I do think, and I've seen it, there's more kind of dinners and all this type of thing happening. But I also think, I've noticed this with myself, it's like you have to actually do the work, and you have to put aside the time to learn about, what are my own toxic behaviors? Why am I drawn to this type of an unavailable person that I know is unavailable from the moment they walk into my life, and I'm like, oh, but there's something about that person that is really like, I'm like, no, but is that what I want? An unavailable person? No. Like, I want consistency, and I want someone who's going to be there and show up, and like, it's...
But we're very quick to judge too.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We're very quick to judge when we don't even know that person. And I think we all need to learn how to communicate a little bit better with if you like something that someone does or you don't like it, and give them a chance.
Yeah.
Give them a chance to fall and maybe stand up again. Give them a chance to explain themselves. And if they do come at you, don't fire back. Be like, I hear you. I understand. I'm in those situations where I'm very quick to react or to judge. And I think what would be beautiful to see in return in those, because I'm not perfect and neither are you. And I think what would be beautiful to see in return is like, hang on, Alex, that's not what happened. Like, I hear you, and I see what you're, I validate what you're feeling, and I'm really sorry that you feel that way, but that's actually not what happens.
Yeah.
To have a mature conversation rather than just like fire back. But again, I think that's both parties having some sort of trauma that needs to be healed.
Yeah.
And I find the whole dating world very confronting for me, that I've got some freaking work to do, and I think we've all got some work to do. But it's, are you going to do the work or not? But on the fun side of things, God, I've had some funny dates. I have walked into dates where I've walked in, I've looked at him, and I've walked out. Because I'm like, no, I'm sorry. If your pictures are older than 12 months,
okay,
update them, dude. Like, if you've been on there for that long, right?
Yeah.
Have the balls to update your photos. No joke. It was like, are you his brother or his cousin?
God, the cousin, yeah.
The cousin, right? And I know a lot of women who have been in that situation before.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if you go on a date with someone and you don't like it, that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's very polite to say, send a message. I really enjoyed that. Thanks so much for your time. I don't think that we have a connection. Don't just not send a message.
The ghosting is so bad. I know.
Because I think then we start to interpret what is ghosting anymore. Why can't we communicate that?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to give clarity to somebody?
Yeah.
I think that is just absolute decency and respect.
Yeah, I do too. And I think people are scared they haven't done the work. They're scared to be honest about the place that they're at with this whole thing. And I think as well, and I feel like a lot of women can relate to this. We almost feel like if we go on a date with someone that we like owe them something, and that it's really awkward to be like, look, I'm not feeling this, because I feel like a lot of women feel like they owe men something. And that's why, I will never go for a dinner on a first date. I will have a coffee with someone. I will have maybe a drink, 2 drinks max. Because I don't want to go, back when I lived in London, I was wild. 10 years ago, I would go out and get wild. That was so stupid, because then you think you like them because you're losing your judgment because you're getting drunk.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to Berlin, I think it was when I would just be like, I'll go on a coffee date, and you could just have a walk. Your walk is lovely because you're going in the same direction and you're not just staring at each other like you mentioned, the interview style.
Yeah, and judging that person.
Yeah, and you just want to be vibing, and it doesn't have to be super intense. You just want to be like, am I comfortable in this person's company? Are we having fun? I feel anyway, and I feel like a lot of other women feel this way. If you go out for dinner with someone or whatever, and they pay, I'm very much happy to split the bill. I think that, or maybe you get the first round, I get the second round, and just keep it super balanced, especially early on.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I owe anyone anything, ever. I'm just I'm good, and then I want to be able to, if I didn't enjoy it, listen, this isn't for me. This is nicht good.
This is nicht good. I think also too, I agree with that. I think there's lots of different ways you can look at who's going to pay what and what. I think I'm so far away from that. It doesn't bother me. I'm a super independent woman. Yeah. I'm successful. I love what I do. I have money. If you want to pay, that's beautiful. If I want to pay, that's beautiful. Everyone's different. I think you've got to find your own story there. I think you've got to be careful with women. There are some women who want this full independency and treat me equal, but pay for my dinner. It's, just be aware of what you're vocalizing and what you want, the energy you're putting out. But I think with the dinner thing, with the dates, I think you're right. I don't know if I got asked out for dinner last weekend. Yeah. And I was actually super excited, but I'm not sure if I would do that with everybody, because what if I don't like you? What if the vibe is off? What if you... I've got some icks when it comes to food.
But sometimes you, like you said about last weekend, sometimes you just have a really good feeling and you're like, you know what, true. You're funny or you're interesting.
Yeah. Mind you, people, the dinner didn't actually happen, but the thought was good.
Oh.
We won't go there.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but I think dating stories are just so fun to talk about, but they're also quite sad. I do know a lot of women who really want to meet someone and struggle to meet someone, because when you look at the dating apps, it's like, okay, now you match with someone, you get that dopamine hit. It's fantastic. You're really enjoying this chat for maybe 2 days. They've got 5 other matches on that app. You might have 3 other matches. And even though women, I think most women, I would like to say, if I speak for myself, I do hone in on one particular person and I like to give them energy for it. I won't keep flicking through a particular app. I'll really focus on one person. But I think men, and I would love to hear if I'm wrong here, you have 5 other matches, you continue to keep swiping through and you search for that next dopamine hit, and that person kind of fades out a little bit. This is what I'm noticing, and I think this is quite sad.
I think it's the pipeline, girl. I think you have to hedge your bets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I know, like, naturally I would feel more, it's, inability to multitask in some ways. But I'm like, okay, I like this person. I'm going to talk to them. But I think maybe early on.
What are you looking for? Or...
Yeah, well, just qualify the lead. Like,
yeah, I mean, qualify the
meeting...
lead, yes, and then warm them up.
Yeah.
Agreed. But when there's like,
The
when you
pipeline.
think about it. When we used to go out to a bar,
Yeah.
okay, and you eye off that guy or that girl,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
you eye off that person that you like. You're not eyeing off 5 people at the same
that's
time.
true.
You're eyeing
true.
off one person, and you put a lot of attention onto that person. Okay.
Yeah.
You do not have 5 people lined up next to you. You just don't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm old school. I don't know.
Well, no,
Maybe
you're right. It is. Well, that's why I think that the whole dating landscape is ruined, because we
Yeah.
have too many options.
Yes.
Back in the day, you met someone at a club. You're like, oh my God, this guy, I really like him. He took my number. And you just really, really nurtured the lead.
Yeah, nurture the lead, exactly.
You were excited and you just invested. But now, if anyone, like you said earlier, if anyone gives any sort of indication of like an ick or whatever we want to call it, we discard them. We don't just sit with it and be like, I don't like his weird hiking shoes.
What don't we like about men? I mean, seriously, let's talk about it. What is it in a dating app? Because this person could be so fantastic.
Yeah.
And then for me, I'm really sorry, but things like, denim shorts, this is so superficial. Look what we're doing to ourselves. Denim shorts that are fitted and have a roll up on the bottom. Like, I'm just not going to go there.
The shants, the ones that zip up.
These hiking pants that are very practical, mind you, since I've finally gone hiking. You need some hiking pants that actually zip off.
Yeah, but they're trying to show you that they love hiking.
I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah, but
that is something for me that is a big turn off, and they could have been like a perfect match for me. But the zipped off 3/4 Jack Wolfskins are out the door for me. What's one for you?
And the hiking boots.
Tell me what's one. When you look at someone's profile, what is it that you're like, damn it, no.
If they have a topless gym selfie, it gives me the absolute ick. Yeah.
Really?
Because I'm like, I would never do that.
Okay. What about when they lift their shirt up
Oh,
in
no,
the
that's
bathroom?
the one, yeah.
Isn't that awful?
Ends me
Guys,
sideways.
I don't even know if any
Please.
guys are listening to this, but when a guy lifts his shirt up and takes a photo either from above, no. Guys, no. I do love a good topless because what's important for me is, health and fitness is a big part of my life. So I need to know how disciplined you are and what's important to you, right?
But if they're on holidays with the lads and they have a topless photo, that's totally fine. It's the gym.
Oh yeah,
it's the mirror,
agree.
Like,
yeah, if they're sitting like near the beach or whatever and they got no shirt on.
It's the lifting the shirt up. I think that's really the one that I just cannot abide by.
Yeah,
anyway, we need to get you to the airport.
Okay.
We're running out of time.
I know everyone else wanted to hear more, but we'll leave that.
We're gonna. Well, they always say with any good piece of content, you arrive late and leave early. So we're gonna wrap this up now. And TBC, to be continued. We will pick this conversation back up. Alex, thank you so much. I loved having you.